Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here, and today I would like to discuss mods. They're a huge part of the gaming community. Of course, they've been around since basically the beginning of gaming. There's a huge history for anyone that doesn't, obviously super random fact, but Miss Pac-Man actually started off as a mod of Pac-Man. Then the people got sued and they're like, well, what if we just did this? And then boom, Miss Pac-Man. So there you go, random fun fact for you. But I would like to discuss mods today. We can talk about our favorite memories with mods, some of our, least favorite memories. If you guys have any horror stories, I'm sorry in advance, but I would love to hear them. So if you guys got any stories at all, good or bad, please put them down in the comment section below. But of course, kicking things off, this was kind of just up in the air. It just popped into my head at one point, and I think it started because I was in the era of like, oh, here's like PlayStation memories and stuff like that, and I was thinking of older games. And I randomly had a flashback to the first game I ever saw mods in. And it was Max Payne. I believe it was Max Payne 2, if I'm not mistaken. But growing up, used to hang out at my aunt's house all the time. My cousins lived there, so she had 3 boys, Chris, William, and Anthony. Chris and Anthony are my age, so Chris is a year younger, Anthony's a year older. William is a few years older than me, so he was always like the older brother. He got his own room. Chris and Anthony, I'd hang out with them. They always had the bunk beds. It was that sort of setup. So it was kind of rare to really go into William's room. He was kind of, he'd do his own thing, so he had his own like personal space. He was much older. So it was that situation of being like, okay, he's got this stuff, and he was just like, he just had like this stuff that was just like outside of the realm of what I really comprehended. It was like, yeah, I love video games, but then it's like, well, I don't know about PC gaming. I was, this was PS2 era we're talking, Max Payne. And so I'm like, I didn't really, I wasn't that far into it just yet. I wasn't old enough to really even comprehend those sorts of things. Didn't really have a computer even at home. So that's, that's the era we're talking about. But William was kind of like the nerd that I ended up growing up to be. Like, I remember he showed me he had a machete. I was like, that's super cool. And he put like, I don't know, the alcohol on it or something, and he set it on fire. I was like, that's sick. That's super cool. He is the reason that I love the movie Battle Royale. He introduced me to that movie. As a kid, which however young I was definitely too young to be watching it, but I also played Resident Evil since I've been like, 6, so it doesn't matter. But as a kid, it was like, oh, this is crazy. This is like a super crazy action movie. And then like I'd watch it like every 5 years, and it would get sadder and sadder because I realized what's happening in the actual story. That movie is amazing and so sad. It isn't like, I love that movie more the older I get. Super depressed. I actually almost cried the last time I watched it. I was like, wow, I understand so much more watching this movie now as an adult, because I didn't get it as a kid. I was like, this is just wild, and people are just going crazy and they're killing each other. That movie's so sad, but it's a beautiful, beautiful film. But he introduced me to that. And then one day, like I said, just hanging out, randomly happened to go into his room. And of course, it's Max Payne. I've loved Max Payne ever since I was a kid. I reference here and there. I love Remedy. They're actually my favorite developer, despite Resident Evil being my favorite IP on the planet. Remedy's still my favorite developer. Love Max Payne. Of course, I'd say play Alan Wake all the effing time. Can't wait for Control 2 to come out, all that good stuff. And so I'm like, that's Max Payne. And then he started to pull out the guns, and I'm like, oh, all his guns are silver and stuff, and they got like laser sights on it. And I was like, what's this? And he was like, oh, they're mods. And so of course, I'm like, what is that? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. And it's a modification. You change something in the game. And then he busted, in the game, I think it was a baseball bat. And he busted out a purple lightsaber. He had Mace Windu's lightsaber in Max Payne, and my life changed. And I was like, whoa. Like, first off, the silver guns was crazy, because I'm like, you can't pick those up. They got laser sights. This is weird. And then he busted out a lightsaber. You can't just do that. That's crazy. Like, that changes your perspective. Like, that is crazy. He pulled out an effing lightsaber inside of Max Payne, and it was just like, whoa. So that was my first experience. I do also have to shout out, he did change the bat into a katana as well. He had like both options, I guess. And so that's just to throw that out there as Invisiblekatana. I'd be remiss if I did not mention the fact that he also made a katana. But that purple lightsaber was like, whoa. And then, that was kind of it. That was my experience. I didn't really dive into it. It was just this insane thing that happened where it's kind of like, you see something so crazy that you don't even question it like you should. Like, I probably should have been like, what the F are mods? Like, that should have been my whole experience. Like, what are mods now? Because I need to know this. But I didn't. It was just like this crazy thing that happened, and it's just like, okay. And then I, went on about my day. Probably went and played more Power Stone 2 with my cousins. And then years upon years later, that's when I finally got into mods. And of course, like a lot of people, it started because of Bethesda games, and it was Skyrim. It was definitely Skyrim, and I had a good time with it. Never ended up beating that game, but I definitely spent a lot of time on mods. Not as much, I played the game more than I spent time on mods, so I can at least say I didn't spend all my time on mods. Although for Fallout New Vegas, no, I can also say the same for Fallout New Vegas because I technically played that game way before I started getting into mods. I just never finished it. So I played like 20 hours of a game and then I went back to it like a year and a half later and I was like, yep, I don't know what's happening. It's bright, I'm on a random bridge. I need to restart the whole effing game. So was playing around with mods when it came to Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas. I literally like started New Vegas again and still never played it. But it was like, oh, custom characters and like the extra, just new hairstyles, all that sort of stuff. And then with Skyrim, that's where I really kind of deep dive into it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna play Skyrim, and you guys can watch this actually. It's super old videos that I have. But you can watch me play Skyrim modded, at least like 8 different episodes or something. I did like 8 hours of the game. And I had all this silly stuff in there. I had the Macho Man dragons. They were, of course, hilarious. So I did love those. I had it where if anyone was shooting arrows at me, it would just be like, pew. I love that mod. It was super funny. And I had this crazy experience, which I'm pretty sure was when I was recording. So it's somewhere in one of those episodes where I was like, I swear I hear something. And it was just this little noise in the background. And I don't know why. I think I was just, I probably did something wrong to somebody at some point in the game. But for some reason, some random person was attacking me. And I'm like, what is this noise? And then as he got closer, I realized it was the pew sound effect going off because he was so far away that it was still activated and I could just barely hear it. I'm like, something's happening. Like, I don't know what's happening. And then I realized like an arrow like kind of flew past me somewhere and it was like, pew, and it was super low. And I was like, somebody's attacking me. And I thought that was super funny. So I really enjoyed that because I was like, I did not expect it to just activate, just in general. It was like, hey, if it's loaded into the game, you will hear the sound effect realistically. So I thought that was super funny, but definitely loved that. I had Shia LaBeouf screaming, just do it as my Fus du Rah. That's also how I learned that the Fus du Rah is something you build up over time. I never knew that. I always thought it was like, you unlock it and then that's it. But it's like, no, you get part 1, then you get the second one, and then you get the whole thing. So when I was first playing it, I was like, am I doing something wrong? I thought I had to hold the button down or do something else because every time I would do it, it was just the first part. So it was like, it didn't say just do it. It was because it had to be all 3 parts. That's how I learned you get it in 3 parts because I thought I was doing something wrong. I'm like, the mod isn't like completing. He's not doing the full thing. And then it took a few times for me to realize I'm not doing the full chant. I have like part 1 out of 3. So didn't know that the whole time, like, I got Skyrim super late. That whole time, I thought it was just like, you eventually get that move and then you're done. It was like, I did not realize it was, in parts. So that surprised me, but I had the Shia LaBeouf, just do it scream as my Fus du Rah. I wanted to get the angry mud crabs. I think that one got deleted or something happened before I was able to download that one. Or the gentlemanly mud crabs, that's right, that's what it was. Where they would swear and stuff, but they had like top hats and monocles. I love that mod, but I think it was gone at the time. It might be back, or maybe they redid it for Skyrim Special Edition and stuff. I haven't looked in a million years, but I remember wanting that one, but it wasn't actually available anymore. But I had a good time. I even did like, custom companions and stuff. Of course, I'm not even gonna front. I did the new mod. I dabbled in it. I checked it out. I did it in New Vegas as well. They even had load screens. I was like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna be like on the load screen. Like the game started up and it was just, T, B, and V. I was like, all right, well, I can't have that. I can't really record that now, can I? Can't really have that on the computer in general. This is on my laptop. I'm gonna be playing games at random. I'll forget something. That's a dangerous place to be. So wiped all those mods off, but it's interesting to take a look. And let me tell you, any game that exists, there's going to be a nude mod for it. It doesn't matter if it's for the guys or the girls. There's going to be a bunch of nude mods. You can see what you want to see, but I can tell you some things I just don't want to see. I've seen the mods. I'm currently in my Zenless Zone Zero modding adventure, and let me tell you, sometimes it's rough. Where I'm just like, I don't mind a little TNA. I've got no issues with it whatsoever. But let me tell you, sometimes I'm really just looking for a cool effing costume. I'm not trying to look at like pregnant Nicole. I know like every effing female character can be pregnant. That's great. I know people love that. I know people like every single effing mod being like bottom heavy, pear shaped. Like, oh my God, the amount of times I have read the word pear is ridiculous trying to find mods in Zenless Zone Zero. It's insane. So I'm enjoying the game and I found some amazing mods. For anyone that doesn't play the game, they have like just also, it's an anime gacha game. We'll just put it like that's the simplest way to put it, anime action gacha game. I really enjoyed it. It's actually my first gacha game. I think it's super fun. And so got it, I saw some mods. The first one I ever saw that really got me into it was one for a character named Alice. And so she had like a cool mod, and the person that took the picture did something really funny that I didn't find out until I got the mod. But it was like, this is a super cool mod. It like changed her costume and basically had her in like, it almost, the best way I can describe it was like a British school uniform, because they always have like the little, like the suit jackets and stuff. And it was jet black, and it changed her skirt to jet black, and she had like some black stockings and black like heeled shoes. And I was like, that just looks super cool, because I like this sort of all black look, and it was like kind of a business suit. And I thought, this looks super sweet. So I downloaded the mod, and of course it turns out the skirt was super short, but you couldn't tell from that picture. But if you're playing the game, the skirt is so short you can see the front and the back of her panties. Her butt is just, it changes her body shape. Of course, she got a bigger butt, all that good stuff. And I was like, I really love this mod. The costume is super sick, but I wish the modder just put the option for a longer skirt. Because I was like, a big part of why I was getting the mods at the time was because they had an event where it was like, hey, you can take pictures and stuff. So I'm waiting for them to just put on like a full, photo mode into the game. But they've had this event twice now, and they've even done updates where they've added like, different filters and stuff. So they're working towards it. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take this opportunity. I'm gonna get a bunch of pictures. And now that I'm, seeing these costumes, which once again, they hit the fact that the skirt was so short. But, I was like, okay, let me check out, all these costume changes. I'll now get a bunch of cool, I'll get some footage of a lot of the characters. And sadly, because of that mod, I was like, well, it's not like I can't show it or anything, but definitely not in the realm that I was going for, because anyone can randomly come across my stuff, and then, YouTube might get weird about it, like, oh, booty, kids, you're screwed. So I was like, can't really do it. But also, I didn't really want to see that, because I'm like, I'm actually just wanted a cool costume, and I was like, dang, I wish this skirt was a little shorter. And then anything else was just like, yeah, well, she's naked over here. It's like, well, that's not what I want. Is it bigger tits? Like, not really. It's like, I don't mind, but it's not what I'm looking for. So I've done a couple characters in some cool costumes. I have, for anyone who actually plays Zenless Zone Zero, actually, now that I think about it, you'll probably be seeing some of the modded footage that I got, because I did take pictures of the characters and their mods. But I got, let's see, Soldier 11 as 2B from Nier Automata, because of course I love that game, and that's a great costume. I can never remember her full name, but I'm gonna just go with Sifu. So she's Bayonetta, which is awesome. Miyabi, I have as Virgil from Devil May Cry. Billy, there was a mod that's just Samurai Billy. It's basically his costume with just like a little bit of like pseudo samurai cosplay on. And I was like, this is perfect. I love like amazing costume. It should legit be a part of the game. But I love the costumes that I got. I just got one for Dylan, which is the Chun-Li one. It's sick. It's absolutely amazing. I got the free version because the paid version is nude. And I was like, I don't need that anyway. I got the couple colors that I want. You get 2 costumes. You get 3 colors. So a classic color, white and gold, and black and gold. If you do her, I can't remember which game is which, but the one where it's basically just like the leggings and like the vest pretty much. If you change that to white and gold, I swear she just looks like the White Power Ranger. Like it's just the exact color scheme. So I thought that was super funny, but love that mod. I thought she looked super cool. Once again, it's got all the nude stuff if you get the extra version, but it has like leg thickness because it's Chun-Li. So I thought that was super funny, but it's like you can do like light, normal, kind of thick, and then like a little bit extra thick. There's a little extra, meat there. And I just thought that was kind of funny as a mod, but the costume is super sick. So I was like, that's great. I love that one. Got some other stuff that's more in universe for some other characters. And it's like, these are, I just like these cool costumes. But then you go on there and you try to look for something cool and it's just pear-shaped and pregnant. And I'm like, come on guys, like, can I just get a costume? Can I just have a character look like another character from another video game or another anime, maybe something? But I don't need like this character, but juicier. Juicier just means thick. And it's just like, I just want cool costumes. Like, please, like, I'm just trying to do simple stuff. Like, I literally had to re-download a mod because they had to update it for the game. It was like, I just want to turn the UI off. I just want simple stuff. Because for some super weird reason, well, it's not weird. The game has a lot of stuff going on, so they don't have an option for you to turn off the HUD because there's like a million buttons and factors to look at and 3 characters that you play with on a team and all their health and all that. So it's like, I get it, but I really wish you could take the UI off because I would love to just play the game without that on it. And then I could use that for footage as well. And I just re-downloaded a mod. I had to like update the mod just to turn the UI off. And that's where my head's at. I'm like, I just want to do like little stuff. I got this giant effing truck next to me, so I apologize for it. I know the audio is always like, it is what it is with me driving in my car, but I know it's always worse. I'm just like surrounded. All I see are just a bunch of 18-wheelers. They're all around me. But I just want some of the, some simpler things, some of the sillier stuff. That's it. It doesn't have to be pregnant. I don't need, I'm definitely not downloading, the male characters with their dicks out. It's like, I don't need that. I also, admittedly, and let me tell you, they are detailed, okay? And it's for men and women. Like, I scroll through the pictures because sometimes there'll be the costumes where it's like, hey, you can just get the costume, but you can also have the nude option, like the Chun-Li thing. Like, she can just have the costume, but if you want to make her naked, you can. So there are some mods where it's like, yeah, I got that costume because I thought the costume was cool, but you hit some buttons here and there, maybe some things start to disappear. And so it's like, okay, I don't need to worry about that. But you'll scroll through, you'll see the images as you're looking at the costumes, and then they have like the nude pictures kind of just slotted in there as you're scrolling through, and it's like, wow. I've seen a vagina, and let me tell you, it looks just like that. Like, the amount of detail is crazy. I'm like, that's a lot. That's a lot of detail. But that's what people want to see sometimes. And I'm like, all I can think is just like, how much of this, how does this really, I don't know. It's just fascinating. It's like the dude that had the naked Chun-Li mod who got busted at the Street Fighter tournament. Hilarious clip, by the way. If you just look up new Chun-Li Street Fighter or new Chun-Li tournament or something like that, you should easily be able to find it. Absolutely amazing. I'm like, this dude had a naked Chun-Li mod. And then when they started up the fight, she was just butt naked, ass and titties. And I'm like, dude, that's so embarrassing. And they were just like, oh, we gotta cut the feet, like we gotta cut this off real quick. I was like, man, you didn't remove the naked mod. That's crazy. And you fight with her straight butt naked, not like just topless. No. She was straight naked. I'm like, and I know they'd be doing some twists and turns in those specials. I haven't gotten too far into Street Fighter 6. I played it a little bit. But like you get to those special things, they're in all sorts of wild positions and stuff. And I'm like, I know that this dude be freeze framing, and that's just sad. That's just sad. But hey, I don't kink shame. I just kink ask why. That's just me. But I love mods, whether they're for the freaks or just people looking, for like crazy costumes or just switching weapons around, stuff like that. I love mods. They're really fun. They make interesting elements to gameplay. I love the idea of mods where you just do silly stuff. Like for me, I'm just like, hey, I just want to get rid of UI. But then there's mods where it's like, what if you just put this mod in and then your strength goes up like times 3,000 or something crazy? And then you have a game and you're just punching characters and they're flying a million miles away. Like silly stuff like that is super fun. Obviously the costume thing I think is one of the greatest elements. Like I've thought for years, I'm like, at some point, I know for a fact, I'm gonna go on Steam and one is gonna be one of the, millions of sales that they do. And I'm gonna just slide on over to Capcom and it's gonna be like, look at that. You can get like 4 Resident Evil games all on PC for like a super cheap price. And the day that I finally pull the trigger on that, when I, who knows when that'll happen, when I beat my infinite backlog, but at some point I will pull the trigger and I'm gonna start getting my Resident Evil games on PC. I'm gonna put all the effing mods in there. There's even first person mods in there that are super sick. So there's stuff that, once again, just gameplay. There's the fixed camera mod. There's one for RE2. I want to get that so bad, but of course I have to get it on PC in order to make that happen. But there's lots of great mods out there, lots of great stories. Like I said, for me, I've done the simpler things. I've tested, like I said, you have to test it out. You got to test out a nude mod at some point. You rob some people in Skyrim, you take their clothes and like, oh, you're not in underwear, you're just butt naked. That's crazy. Also, it's always really funny just to see how many mods come out where it's like, clearly it's a majority of guys here because it's usually women. And it made me laugh super hard with Skyrim. It's a lot better now because I know there's been a ton of time. But when I was doing it, and it was like, oh yeah, mods, for graphics and stuff. Even just the graphical mods were like, yeah, you can just make all the women look great. And I'm like, so there's like no mods to update the visuals on the guys. At the time I was doing it, like I said, this was years and years, over a decade ago at this point. And it was like, they were legit. Like there was like one mod, I think, that was for better graphics for male characters in Skyrim. And there were like 18 for the women alone. I was like, this is hilarious. And it was just, like I said, just graphically. I was like, you guys just didn't want to update the whole game? It was like, nah, just women. Like half of, like 2 dozen of you guys, only women. You guys didn't see the other half dozen people already doing like better graphics for women. Like somebody could have just helped the guys out. But nah, updates for women. That's all we need to see. Better 4K women. That's what we want. 4K women. We don't care about the dudes. I'm like, hilarious. Obviously, I'm sure it's different now, but majority of the time, you scroll on there, you start looking for costumes, you start looking for anything, it's for women. Bigger chests, bigger butts, shaped like this, just fat. Like there's stuff just fat is for all characters. There's tons of characters just be fat, but mods are funny. Just looking through mods is hilarious because you just know the community that you're in. You just get in there and you're just like, okay, that's what it is. Different games, obviously different communities. You know, some games might just be like cool action stuff, sillier things, funny stuff. But you get to those games where it's a lot of characters. You get to the games where the women are already seen as hot. You're gonna see a lot more of those women, I promise you. In real crazy detail, if that's what you're looking for. Well, honestly, if you're looking for mods, you're gonna see it even if that's not what you're looking for. You have to set up the filter, but you know, I like to just have my filter wide open. You know, you never know what you might miss. Just to throw that out there. But we'd love to know your thoughts on all things mods. You know, what games do you guys have like your favorite modded memories in? What are some of your favorite mods that you've ever gone through? What are some games, you know, like for me, I mentioned Resident Evil. What are some games that you guys are just waiting, like at some point, I'm gonna get that game and that, you know, I want to mod it. Like Red Dead 2 is actually another one for me where I was like, I saw someone have a Ghost Rider mod and they use it in photo mode, because that's another thing for me where it's like photo mode still works with all of your mods. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not gonna get this on PlayStation. I'm gonna get this on Steam because I need that Ghost Rider mod. It looks super cool. And plus there's a million other mods that are sick, but we'd love to know your thoughts. All things mods. The good times, like I said, if you guys have any bad times, I am so sorry that happened to you, but we'd love to hear the horror stories now that you're hopefully far, far removed from those bad times. But if you guys have any comments on mods, please put them down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.